Hi, hello, my name is Deepak Imais. I'm a software engineer based out of India, and welcome back to my channel and tour where we simplify complex topics for developers just like you. If you are not aware, this is a second video in our SQLAlchemy series, and today we are going to talk about SQLAlchemy models. Okay, just let's get started. Okay, what we cover in this video? The first thing, what is an SQL alchemy model? Obviously. And second thing, how to create model using, and there is two method, traditional and modern method, obviously. And then we will jump into the relationship between the tables. When you are defining tables, no, you need to define the relationship between them also. We will simplify all this, and you will ready to begin with SQL alchemy models after this video. Okay, and if you are not watch the previous video, let me introduce that also to you, where we look on how to set up a engine, DB engine, for a development purpose and for a production purpose. And if you are not getting what is written here, I suggest please visit our previous video. The link is in the description. Okay, let's get started for today's. Okay, as we discuss, what is an SQL alchemy model? Okay, let me explain in a simpler terms. It's just like a blueprint or a template that we use to define a database table. That is only an SQL alchemy model is. In a real scenario, we can say the database table considered to be an Excel spreadsheet. And for an Excel spreadsheet, if you are storing a table, there should be a column and there should be a set of rules that will be there saying these rules need to be followed when you are filling this column, right? So that column headings and the rules are the SQL alchemy models where we define in SQL alchemy model. So if I'm deleting this one, say imagine you have a Excel spreadsheet like this one. It like uses and it has ID, name and age. This will be the heading. In ID you should only fill integer value. On name you only fill the string value. On email there should be a valid email and age should be an integer value. So these are the rule set. These are the headings. So this will be, we say it in a SQL alchemy model. For example, we can consider this as an SQL alchemy model. So it will be an ID, an name, an email, and you can see what we are said now. And only thing I changed is age is an optional. There is no need for age need to be present for all the rows. That's the only thing I changed. Okay, now is it valid SQL alchemy model? No, it isn't. Now we need to introduce a new topic, that is declarative base. Okay, you ask me like, Deepak, like you are just said this is for a beginners. And you are saying complex terms like this and we can't relate. Okay, let me handle you. So this will be, what is a declaratives? I will explain it in simple terms. You can consider declarative base as a magic box where you put a a regular toy, same thing like a toy or any toy, and you put it inside, and that turns into some special toy with immense powers. That is a declarative base. Say, uh, instead of use this example, I'm just taking a toy. I have a car. Okay, I have a car. Its color is red and it has four wheels. Car obviously has four wheels, right? So this will be a regular Python class. Okay, what is a regular toy look like to you? We will keep it as in our room. We will play with that. Only kept to our room, right? Or kept to our house. Okay. Now I'm going to make it put it in a magic box. I'm calling this as a base class. Okay. And that base, how to implement that base class, we will explain that. But by inheriting from that base, how we can create that one. So it would be simply look like this. A car which is inherited from some magic powers, a bus, and we given as a name, it's a car, and it is a color red and wheels. Now it's become a magic toy, or we can say in our like SQLAlchemy way, it will be a declarative base class, and this is a special toy, and you will keep it as a special way, right? So let's get to our hands dirty. So how we can create this magic box in two methods. So we have SQLAlchemy 1x method and SQLAlchemy 2x method. Okay, what is 1x method and what is 2x method? So don't need to install any other package, just SQLAlchemy, which has providing both these versions. So let's handle on the old way first. Okay, old way. That is SQLAlchemy. I'm writing essay for SQLAlchemy 1x method. On 1x method, what will be so for that from SQLAlchemy.orm you need to import declarative base. Okay, and to create a base, I'm creating declarative base. Okay, this is the 1s. Okay, then the new way, which is I recommend, which is SQLAlchemy 2x method. For that, from SQLAlchemy, you need to import declarative base. Okay. Okay, it's from same package SQLAlchemy.orm declarative base. Okay, how to create this base? For that, you need to use a class base and put declarative base here and pass. Okay, so I'm saying this as a base 1 and this as a base 2. Okay, what is the difference? One thing is a function code and another thing is a inheritance, right? So what is the actual difference? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check what is the type of both. Print type base 1 and print type base 2. Okay, just I'm going to run this and I will get both as a class. The other type is different, but generally both will be a class. Oh, seems like both are class, no? So what is the actual difference? One difference we already get. One is calling function and that will be returning a class. Another we are defining a class. Okay, then what is actual difference? The primary difference is customization. In SQL Alchemy 1x method, this method, you don't have that much option to customize the application. But if you use this method, you have customization options. Say, if I have a string, and whenever I use string, I need to get a string variable of 255 characters or just 60 characters. If I don't put string of 255 or just put as str, it need to be get as 255. How to do that? Here we don't have any provision, but here in 2x method we have a provision called type annotation map. So str and need string, and this string will be coming from SQL Alchemy. String 255, that will be the length, or say 25, that will be the length. When creating a base model or a table, base model for our class from inheriting from base 2. Okay, the base model creation will be the same. For if you are using base 1 also, you just put base 1. If you are using base 2, just put base 2. And because it's a base model, I'm setting abstract to true so that the table won't create. So, and I have a ID and a mapped int, which will be a mapped column. Okay, what is this mapped and mapped column? We will explain in detail, and what is other methods we can use create to this one. So, and I'm setting the primary key as true, which means it will be the PQID. And then we have a created at field, which is a mapped datetime. Okay, and this datetime want to coming from here, from datetime import datetime, and this is a mapped column, and this is server default function dot now, and this function is coming from here. Okay, function SQL Alchemy import function. Okay, so what it will do, this is our base model. Whenever we create another table, it will inherit it from here, and these two fields will be already there. So that's why we created a base model. And then we will create our class user, and it's a base model there, and I'm creating a table name argument as users, and I only need a name, which is a mapped str, and I'm only giving mapped column. So what it will do, whenever put a str, it will take from here, say that it is a 255 character or 25 name character string. That's it. So what is it will do is, if I create a object for this user object, if I user dot, you can see ID is here and created that is also there. It's a pure inheritance, there is no difference in that. And this will be the another advantage when you are using 2x method. you will get a type annotation. If I create a user and user dot id, these annotations will be getting, and these annotation have another explanation also. We will get into that. And what is the actual type annotation will be happening if you are trying to access anything from this base 1 dot, you don't have any methods available here. Okay, these all are Python methods only. I will close this terminal to increase the visibility. Okay, and now I'm going to annotate this one, base 2, if there is any parameter is there. Okay, so if we now we can see there is a metadata, there is a registry, there is a table name argument, and there is a type annotation argument which is we created. So a lot of other methods are there which is not present in the base one. And what is this metadata mean? This metadata will handle all our SQLAlchemy models data. What is the tables we created, what are the fields associated with that. To create or to reflect on what is the tables are there from the SQLAlchemy side, we use this metadata. Okay, so then what is happening behind the scenes? Both are saving the same purpose. We seen two difference. What is happening in behind the scenes? Let me explain. So one thing, on the declarative base 1x method, the function will create newly class dynamically, adds metadata attribute, adds registry for tracking models, and return the class. We don't have any control on there. We can access the metadata, but there is no visible argument will be there. So we can create base dot metadata in the traditional way also. It won't create any problem. But to increase the readability of the code, I suggest the second method. And it will be also will be true, and this will be also will be true. You will inherit it from the class itself, and all the powers will be added directly. So that's a difference, or what is happening in the hood. So what will be the 3 reasons why I recommend the 2x method? One will be, I already said, easier configuration. We see that in here, right? Okay, my mouse is not working. Okay, we see here these configurations that will be easy to handle on the 2x method. And second is better ID support. That's also we see in it. What is the third one? Third one is, say you have a project, you need to handle multiple databases. Something has Postgres, and some resource will use MySQL. In those scenarios, you have a JSON object. How to store that JSON object? So in the Python code, it will be a dict, right? Dictionary. But when it comes to the database, Postgres is handled as a JSON, MySQL access as a text. So in order to configure that, we need to use this metadata. So for example, so I will delete these and this one. Okay, this is the multiple database support. We create a Postgres base, which is a type annotated. A dictionary is a JSON object. In MySQL base, we say dictionary as a text object. And both in that it will use, here it will use JSON, here it will use a text. That's different. So it's completely up to you what is the method you need to use. If you are using 1x method, you will miss this, you will miss this, and you will miss this. So Now I think you understand what is a declarative base means. So it's a long topic now. And now we will introduce to another topic, which is how to create the SQL alchemy model, which is also have two methods. Here we explain declarative is to create a declarative is we have two methods. There also two different styles are there. One is a 1x method style, which will be something like this. Okay, how to create a 1x version, and it is called column. Uh, the primary difference is on 1x method we use mapped column, and in in 2x method we use mapped column, and 1x method we use column. That's only difference. For an example, I have this uses table, 1x method table, and it has declarative base as I assigned, and I have ID. There is no type hints will be there for 1x method, and we can don't simply write this as str or int because I will explain why it will be. And this will be I usually add when I developing application, because if I directly put print users, it will represent like this one, and I can read what is unnecessary information. Usually I add is active also here, so it will be better to use. And how to use it in a SQLAlchemy 2x version, which is we used mapped column. We already introduced to that in our previous declarative session. Here is the 2x method. Here we use a type hint mapped with a mapped one, and we have option field, and this is how we create a 2x method SQLAlchemy 2x method. Okay, now in a simple words, use column for 1x method with if you're using column, I recommend you need to be consistent. If you're using the 1x method, use completely the 1x method. If you're using 2x method, completely use 2x method. That's the only difference. The difference will be here we use column, here we use mapped column along with the type hint. Okay, so what I would recommend is obviously go to the 2x method. One thing I already showed you. If I create a object for this one, user1x, say I'm going to create an object user1 from user1x. If I type user1 dot, okay, this will be, I can see there is active, EID, email. If I ID and I say as a string, there is no issue, it will throw. Only when an adding is happening, then only it will throw. Runtime error will be there. But if I create user2 user2x, if I user2 dot id and I am assigning 1, then you can see already my id shows one error because expected is int and got as string. So type checking will save runtime errors. That will be one benefit. And autocomplete, this is PyCharm, so it will be automatically completed. But when you're using other code editors, there is no assurance that it will be auto completed, and there will be type checking and understand the code, readability of the code will be increasing when you are using a type hint. Okay, but wait, can't I write the usual types hinting here? Say something like name equal to str column of string of 100. Why I can write like this? That's look like type ending, right? But well, not quite. The problem is a column of string is actually isn't a string. It's an SQLAlchemy object. So if I remove this type string and put, and also if I, okay, I can view from here itself. If I put a string, you can see expected type is string but got column of string. Okay, it's returning a column object, not a string object. So this type hint lead to a misleading and not a type safe. So that's why there is no type hinting for the SQLAlchemy 1x method. It's completely up to you. Okay, so if we conclude this section, what it will be, what the 2x method will be, okay, why we need to use this one? One thing, readability. Second thing, tooling and autocomplete. That will be up to the ID. Second thing, maintainability. Third thing, align with the modern Python standards so that it won't create any problem. Any like type checking, all will be there. Now that you know how to define models in using both the styles, let's improve our knowledge base by moving to the next important topic, how to defining a relationship between SQLAlchemy model. But in between, if you're curious, like for this 1x method and for this also, okay, ext, usually this declarative base is coming from declarative extension and declarative, but we earlier imported from ORM, which is also fine, but 1x method recommend this one. I made a mistake and apology for that. Need to use this method. And if you see, there is an ORM model. ORM means object relation model. This is a transcriber for the Python code and the database. It will be translating your Python SQL statements into database SQL statements. That's the difference. But when we are going to explore the SQL statements and all, no, we will be getting understand this one. So let's move into the next important topic, which is relationship.